The enigma. Every owner ignores. No matter how much money you spend on soft beds, premium cushions, or carefully designed spaces meant to give your cat the best comfort possible, there is one thing that keeps happening. Your cat will still choose a simple cardboard box. Not once, not occasionally, but consistently, almost as if nothing else you provide can compete with it. You have seen it happen. You have placed something warm, clean, perfectly positioned for rest, and your cat simply ignores it. Then, without hesitation, it walks toward a plain box, steps inside, turns a few times, and settles in with a calm expression that seems almost deliberate. At first glance, it feels like a joke nature is playing on you. How can something so basic outperform something so carefully chosen? But this is exactly where most people stop thinking, and that is where they miss what is really happening. Researchers who study feline behavior, including teams from Utrecht University, observed that when cats are placed in new or unfamiliar environments, those given access to boxes adapt faster, show fewer signs of stress, and regain normal behavior much sooner than those without them. This is not preference, this is a response. Your cat is not choosing the box because it is soft, or because it smells interesting, or because it happens to be there. It is choosing it because, in its perception, that space offers something your carefully selected bed cannot provide. It offers a form of control. Cats do not experience comfort the way humans do. While you look for softness and warmth, your cat looks for predictability, boundaries, and the ability to observe without being exposed. Inside that box, your cat reduces the world into something manageable. Fewer angles to watch, fewer threats to consider, fewer variables to process. Experts in animal behavior explain that this need for controlled environments is deeply rooted in the dual nature of cats. They are both predators and potential prey. That means they are always balancing two opposing instincts, the need to hunt and the need to stay hidden. A box satisfies both at once. And this is where the illusion breaks. What looks like a random habit is actually a silent strategy. What looks like comfort is actually calculated safety. The moment your cat steps into that box, it is not escaping reality, it is shaping it. And if a simple box can change how your cat feels, thinks, and reacts, then the real question is not why your cat loves boxes. The real question is what that choice is revealing about the world your cat is living in right now. The illusion of comfort. It's not about being soft. You were taught to believe that comfort is something you can feel with your body. Soft surfaces, warm fabrics, padded spaces. That is how humans define rest. That is how you decide what is good for you. So when you choose a bed for your cat, you follow the same logic. You look for softness, warmth, and design, assuming your cat will naturally value the same things. But your cat does not think like you. Studies of feline behavior consistently show that cats prioritize control over physical comfort. Specialists in animal cognition explain that for a cat, the environment matters more than the surface it rests on. What surrounds the body is more important than what supports it. That is why your cat can lie down on a hard, narrow, even awkward surface and still appear completely relaxed. Because in that moment, what matters is not how it feels physically, but how safe and predictable the space is. A box creates something your expensive bed cannot. It creates boundaries. Inside a box, your cat knows exactly where the edges are. There are no surprises behind it, no sudden movements from the sides, no unknown approach from multiple directions. The world becomes smaller, simpler, easier to read. Researchers have observed that when animals are placed in environments with fewer variables, their stress response decreases. The brain does not need to stay in constant alert mode. It can finally slow down. This is the part most owners never realize. Your cat is not rejecting comfort. It is redefining it. Comfort for a cat is the absence of uncertainty. And a soft bed placed in an open space, no matter how luxurious it is, still leaves your cat exposed. Too many angles, too many possibilities, too much information to process at once. The box removes all of that. It offers structure, it offers limits, it offers control. And control for a cat feels better than softness ever could. So the next time your cat walks past something you chose with care and settles into something that makes no sense to you, remember this. It is not making a bad choice. It is making a precise one. Because in a world full of unpredictable movement and constant stimuli, your cat is not looking for comfort the way you understand it. It is looking for a place where nothing unexpected can reach it. The invisible instinct for survival. There is something about your cat that has never changed, no matter how safe your home feels. Beneath the calm behavior, beneath the routine, beneath the quiet moments you share every day, there is an ancient system still active, still alert, still guiding every decision your cat makes. Your cat is both a hunter and a potential target. Specialists in animal behavior explain that this dual role creates a constant state of awareness. Even in environments with no real threats, the instinct remains. The brain does not fully relax because, for thousands of years, survival depended on being ready at all times. This is where the box becomes something much more than a simple object. Researchers who study wild and domestic cats have observed that felines naturally seek positions where they can observe without being easily seen. This behavior appears in both hunting and defensive situations. In the wild, this would mean tall grass, dense foliage, or small enclosed spaces. In your home, that instinct adapts. The box becomes the modern version of that hidden refuge. Inside a box, your cat gains a strategic advantage. It can watch what is happening outside while remaining partially concealed. It reduces exposure while maintaining awareness. It creates a position where it is not easily approached from behind or from the sides. This is not relaxation in the human sense. This is controlled vigilance. Experts from veterinary behavioral studies point out that cats feel most secure when they can monitor their surroundings without being at the center of attention. Open spaces place them in a vulnerable position. Enclosed spaces give them leverage. The box allows your cat to exist between two worlds, hidden enough to feel protected, visible enough to stay informed. And this balance is everything. Because for a cat, safety is not about the absence of danger. It is about the ability to respond before danger arrives. So when your cat chooses a box, it is not hiding randomly. It is positioning itself with precision, following a pattern that has been repeated for generations. What you see as a simple habit is actually a silent continuation of a survival strategy that has never disappeared. And the moment you understand that, you begin to see your cat not as a pet adapting to your home, but as an instinctive animal reshaping your environment to fit its nature. A refuge against human chaos. Your home feels normal to you. The sounds, the movement, the routines, the sudden changes throughout the day. You move from one room to another. You speak, you open doors, you drop objects, you turn things on and off without even thinking about it. For you, it is just life happening. For your cat, it is something else entirely. Studies in feline behavior show that cats are highly sensitive to environmental changes, even the smallest ones. Researchers and veterinarians explain that what seems insignificant to humans can be perceived by cats as unpredictable or overwhelming. A new noise, a shift in routine, unfamiliar footsteps, even a different tone of voice can trigger a subtle state of alert. Your cat does not process the world in broad strokes. It notices details constantly. And when those details become too many, when the environment becomes too active, your cat needs a way to regulate itself. This is where the box transforms into something essential. Inside a box, external stimuli are reduced. Light becomes softer. Movement becomes limited. Sound is partially blocked. The environment is filtered. What was once chaotic becomes controlled. Researchers have observed that cats given access to enclosed spaces show fewer stress behaviors, such as excessive grooming or withdrawal, especially in environments that change frequently. This suggests that the box is not just a place to rest. It is a tool for emotional regulation. When your cat enters a box, it is not escaping your home. It is managing its experience within it. There is a quiet intelligence in that choice. Instead of reacting impulsively to every stimulus, your cat creates a boundary, a space where it can process the world at its own pace. It lowers the intensity of everything around it without needing to leave entirely. Experts in animal psychology often compare this behavior to a natural coping mechanism, a way for the animal to regain balance without external help. And this is what most people never notice. Your cat does not need you to calm it down. It knows how to do that on its own. The box becomes a silent refuge, a place where the noise of the outside world loses its power, where the constant movement slows down. where the pressure disappears. So when your cat steps into that box after a busy moment, after a sudden noise, or even after interacting with you, it is not distancing itself. It is restoring itself. And once you begin to see it this way, you start to understand that your cat is not just reacting to your world. It is carefully protecting its inner balance within it. The power of limited space, psychology of control. There is a reason your cat does not just enter any space. It looks, it measures, it hesitates for a second, and then it decides. Sometimes the box is barely big enough. Sometimes it looks uncomfortable from your perspective. Yet your cat insists, adjusts its body, and settles in with complete calm. This is not random behavior. It is selection. Specialists in animal cognition explain that confined spaces reduce uncertainty. When the boundaries are clear and close, the brain no longer needs to scan constantly for threats from multiple directions. The number of possible outcomes decreases. The environment becomes predictable, and predictability changes everything. Researchers studying animal stress responses have observed that when variables are reduced, the nervous system relaxes more quickly. It is not the softness of the surface that creates this effect. It is the clarity of the space. Inside a limited area, your cat knows exactly where it begins and where the world ends. There are no blind spots behind it, no unexpected approaches from angles it cannot control. Every movement outside the box becomes easier to track, easier to understand. This creates a sense of control that open spaces cannot offer. Experts often compare this to how certain controlled environments affect the human mind. When everything around you is defined, your thoughts slow down, your body follows. Tension fades not because the environment is physically comfortable, but because it is mentally manageable. Your cat experiences something similar. The box is not a restriction, it is a structure, and structure allows the mind to rest. This is why your cat can choose a tight, rigid space over a large, soft one. The larger space may feel better to the body, but it demands more attention, more vigilance, more energy. The smaller space asks for less, and in that reduction, your cat finds relief. So when you see your cat pressed against the sides of a box that seems too small, understand what is really happening. It is not forcing itself into discomfort. It is placing itself exactly where its mind can finally let go. And once you see that, you begin to realize that what your cat values most is not comfort as you define it. It is control, clarity, and the quiet certainty that nothing can surprise it from within that space. The mental game of, if I fit, I'll get in. There is a moment you have probably seen more than once. Your cat stops in front of a box that is clearly too small. It looks at it, tilts its head slightly, walks around it, and then, without hesitation, tries to get inside. From your point of view, it makes no sense. There is no comfort, no space, no logic, and yet, your cat insists. This behavior reveals something most people never consider. Your cat is not just reacting to the environment. It is actively testing it. Researchers who study feline cognition have observed that cats constantly evaluate spaces, distances, and possibilities. This is part of their natural intelligence. In the wild, survival depends on accurately judging whether a space can be used for hiding, escaping, or ambushing. A wrong decision could mean exposure, so the brain of a cat is always asking a silent question. Can I fit there? Can I use that? And every time your cat approaches a box, especially one that seems too small, it is engaging in that evaluation process. It is not guessing, it is calculating. Specialists in animal behavior explain that this type of interaction provides mental stimulation. It challenges the cat's perception of its own body and its environment. It reinforces spatial awareness. It keeps the mind active. This is why even adult cats living in safe homes still display this behavior. The instinct to test and explore does not disappear. It adapts. The box becomes more than a refuge. It becomes a problem to solve. And when your cat manages to fit into a space that seemed impossible, there is a subtle reward. Not in the way humans celebrate success, but in a quiet confirmation that its instincts are still precise, still reliable. This is also why you see cats repeatedly entering and leaving boxes, adjusting positions, trying again. It is not indecision. It is engagement. Experts often point out that animals need both physical and mental stimulation to remain balanced. Without challenges, behavior can become stagnant. With small natural challenges like this, the mind stays sharp. So when your cat attempts to fit into something that looks absurd to you, understand what is happening beneath the surface. It is not being stubborn. It is not being random. It is exercising its ability to read the world, to test its limits, and to confirm its place within the space it occupies. And in that simple act, something important is happening. Your cat is not just inside the box. It is proving to itself that it belongs there, the sign you never noticed. Every time your cat enters a box, something is being communicated, not with sound, not with obvious gestures, but through a choice that most people overlook. You see a habit. Your cat is expressing a state. Specialists in feline behavior explain that cats communicate through positioning, distance, and environmental choices as much as through vocalization. Where your cat chooses to be says more than what it does in open view. A box is never just a box. When your cat enters it, the context matters. The timing matters. The way it settles inside matters. Researchers who observe domestic cats in controlled environments have noticed patterns. When a cat seeks a box after a moment of activity or noise, it is often signaling a need for isolation. Not rejection, not distance from you, but a controlled pause. When a cat stays partially inside, with its head out and body hidden, it is balancing two needs at once: observation and protection. It wants to remain aware while limiting exposure. When it curls tightly inside and remains still, it is choosing full containment. That is not laziness. That is a deliberate shift into a state of recovery. Experts often describe this as a form of self-regulation. The cat is adjusting its interaction with the environment without external intervention. It is deciding how much of the world it allows in. And this is where the deeper meaning reveals itself. Your cat is constantly measuring its surroundings. It is asking in silence how safe this moment feels, how much energy it should spend, how open or protected it needs to be. The box becomes the answer to those questions. Security when the world feels too active. Isolation when the mind needs quiet. Observation when curiosity remains, but caution is required. Control when uncertainty appears. All of this happens without a single sound, and this is why most people never notice. Because they are waiting for a signal that looks obvious. But your cat does not communicate in obvious ways. It communicates in decisions. So the next time your cat steps into a box, do not just see where it is. Look at when it chose to be there, how it positions itself, how long it stays. Because in that silent movement, your cat is telling you exactly what it needs. You just have to learn how to see it. A new way to see your cat. From now on, you will not see a box the same way again. What once looked like a simple, almost humorous habit begins to reveal a pattern, a logic, a silent intelligence guiding every movement your cat makes. Because the truth is this: your cat was never choosing the box randomly. It was choosing control over comfort, clarity over excess, structure over exposure. Researchers and specialists in feline behavior have spent years observing these patterns, and they all point to the same conclusion. Cats do not adapt blindly to the environments we create. They reshape those environments in subtle ways, turning ordinary objects into tools that meet their psychological needs. And the box is one of the clearest examples of that. It is a refuge when the world feels too intense. It is a strategy when awareness is needed. It is a boundary when uncertainty grows. It is a space where your cat can exist without pressure, without unpredictability, without the constant demand to react. What you once interpreted as a preference is actually a reflection of how your cat perceives your home, your movements, your energy. And this is where everything changes. Because once you understand this, you stop seeing behavior as random. You start seeing intention. You begin to notice the moments your cat chooses to withdraw, not as distance, but as balance. You recognize the times it seeks enclosure, not as isolation, but as restoration. Experts often say that to understand an animal, you must learn to see the world from its position, not your own. And your cat has been showing you that perspective all along, in the simplest way possible, through a box. So the next time your cat steps inside one, pause for a moment. Observe without interrupting. Let that small action reveal what words never could. Because in that quiet choice, your cat is not just finding a place to sit. It is showing you how it survives, how it thinks, and how it finds peace in a world that was never designed for it. And once you truly see that, you are no longer just living with your cat. You are beginning to understand it. Stand.